And welcome back everyone to the video series dedication show on MTV that is down to its final 7. That's right, we're talking about The Challenge Season 39 Battle for a New Champion, Episode 17. We are danger close to the final, and I'll just say throughout this entire episode, I was rolling my eyes at multiple conversations that happened in this episode. But before we get into any of that, let's start off where last episode left off, and that was Nurys winning against Kyland and Horacio and coming back to the challenge house by herself. People are thrilled to see Nurys, more so because her returning meant that Kyland and Horacio had been eliminated. At first, they don't believe her. They were thinking maybe someone else will join them, but Nurys was like, nope, I'm it. I eliminated both of them, and she also had some few strong words for the entire house. But the house doesn't care about that, as we see Jay, Emmanuel, and Mariah dancing in the room and then doing some chest bumps that Kyland and Horacio had finally been eliminated. And then in another room, Olivia is crying and talking to Michelle about everything that happened. It was a whirlwind from the selection process to hearing that Kyland and Horacio had been eliminated. Nurys is still very much hurt about what happened in the selection process. But when they do finally sit down and talk with Nurys, Nurys is back into game mode. She's like, yeah, that sucks, but I gotta figure out a way to keep myself safe. So she kind of tosses out there like, what if there's an all-women's alliance? There's 6 women left in the house, there's only 10 of us. Why not have an all-women's final? Olivia and Michelle are very up for the idea. I mean, at one point, Michelle is saying that this would be a dream come true. If only somebody would have suggested this earlier on in the season, that all the women should stick together. Oh wait, somebody did, and that was Big T. And I remember everybody going like, yeah, but let's see how the game goes. But now that it's super convenient to do an all-women's alliance and try to get all the women into the final, now it's a dream come true. Well, we'll see how those conversations play out, but we're gonna put a pin in all of this as everybody dons their challenge gear to meet up with TJ for this week's daily challenge, which is heights over water, called Drumroll. All 10 players will be going at once in the original round, and you're gonna have to try to stay on this barrel, this log, for as long as you can. The first 5 players to fall off this barrel will be going to the losers bracket, where the last 5 standing on the barrel in the initial round will go to the winners bracket. In the winners bracket, the last person standing will win into power and win into safety, where the first one off in the losers bracket will be purged from the game. Now, in an exit interview over at patreon.com/angelcakevids, Olivia and Michelle both told me that this was one of the most dangerous daily challenges of the season. That multiple players sustained pretty serious injuries when doing this daily challenge. Some people hit the water so hard that they got a concussion and didn't even remember going a second time. Both Olivia and Michelle said that they sustained bruised to broken ribs, and it made things really difficult to even breathe. This daily challenge was very interesting, very suspenseful, but hearing how dangerous it was, and this one being the last daily challenge right before the final, this daily challenge could have put some people's final runs and just games in general in jeopardy of possibly being medically DQ'd. In the initial heat, the first 5 players to drop were Olivia, Michelle, Colleen, Mariah, and then Emmanuel. We get to the winners bracket where Corey L could not stay on his feet. He was the first one to drop, then Nurys. Almost right after Nurys fell, Jay fell, and they were really close on the barrel that it almost looked like Jay was going to land on Nurys' head, which could have been really dangerous for both of them. This comes down to Berna and James, which, what now? If anyone told me that the final daily challenge of the season would come down between Berna and James, I would call you a dirty liar. But here we are, and Berna was able to lock in the win, get safety, and pretty much punch her ticket into the final. Now we go to the losers bracket. Both Michelle and Mariah seem to be having the most trouble staying on their feet, trying to keep their balance. I mean, at one point, Michelle was just holding on, being supported by her upper body strength. She couldn't get her feet onto the log, onto the barrel, so she was just holding on for as long as possible. Michelle is the one to be dropped into the water and purged this late in the game. With Michelle being purged from the season, it really makes you think back to all the times during the chaos portion of this game when TJ said to be a champ, you have to beat a champ. Yet with Michelle walking out the door, everyone who has beaten a champ on this season has been eliminated. Michelle is purged and coming back to the challenge house. Berna is in charge. And Olivia comes to Berna and Colleen and was talking about the all-women's alliance. We can still do this thing. We're 5 strong. We can keep each other safe. On top of that, if there's someone that you want us to save, just let us know. We'll do whatever you wish if we can stay safe and make it to the final. But Berna and Colleen aren't really buying this. Berna's sitting there being like, hey, I'm a woman. I love women. But I have other people that had my back this entire time, and Nerys wasn't super nice to me. We move on to a house party where Olivia is talking to Jay about talking with Nerys and trying to figure out something to keep each other safe in the selection process. Then we move on to a conversation between Coriel and Colleen, where they're both talking about how it's a really good thing that Michelle is not still in the game. Because with Michelle gone, it really opens the door and really opens a spot for both Colleen and Corey to be safe in the selection process and to make it into the final. And then they talk about how they both were used by Jay and Michelle in this game. Which I'll be for real, I didn't know that used and carried could be interchangeable. I mean, for real though, I cannot understand how they could say that they were being used in the game. Corey and Colleen had every opportunity to make waves in this game, to go into the opposite alliance with Kyland and Horacio if they didn't want to do what Michelle and Jay were coming up with or their plans on this season. It's not like Michelle suggested Coriel to wear Callum's dirty clothes hamper during the ABC party because it would make her feel better. Corey did that to get in Michelle's good graces. If Colleen was upset with Jay and Michelle so much, she had every opportunity to swap on them and go to the other alliance on the other side of the house. It was a mutual working alliance. Jay and Michelle wanted numbers, and for Coriel and Colleen's votes in numbers, they in turn got safety because they were in the alliance with Michelle and Jay. I mean, I think this is rich coming from 2 players who were nominated once each and didn't even see a single elimination, who made it to the final 9. Spoiler alert, they made it into the final 7. I think you have to take accountability for your game, and to say that you were used when you were in an alliance and you never even saw a single elimination, I think that is just so rich. The idea of the all-women's final or all-women's alliance was quickly thrown in the trash during this house party, as Berna told Emmanuel and Jay that Michelle, Olivia, and Nerys came up with the idea and asked her to join, and now she's telling Jay, so Jay will get very upset with Nerys and Olivia, so during the selection process, he won't pick them. And then on top of that, Berna said that Olivia and Nerys came to her saying that they would do anything to make it into the final. And then to put the cherry on top, Berna tells Jay that Colleen has some information about Nerys, and Colleen tells Jay that when his name was circulating around the house of possibly going in, Nerys was the one to tell her, Colleen, to vote for Jay. Which we get a flashback that shows absolutely nothing of the sort. It shows that Nerys doubted Jay and his ability to keep them safe, but that's not explicitly saying that we need to vote Jay. It's just so funny that Jay used gaslighting and manipulation throughout this game, and then for it to come full circle and hit him in this moment, it's like, why don't you think why Colleen is just now speaking up about this vote? Why is this information that is very pertinent in this game just coming up now, right before the selection process? Well, Jay falls for it, hook, line, and sinker. So when he sits down with Nerys finally to talk about the selection process, Jay says, I'm not going to save you because Berna told me all this stuff, Colleen told me all this stuff, and this sends Nerys off. She was already not going to butter anybody up to try to get favor. She had a really strong feeling that nobody was going to save her anyways and that she was going to be going into elimination. So why not? Why not just torch the house while we're at it? So she tells Jay that we're no longer friends. we're done. And then she comes after Colleen saying that she was actually the one that was going to swap sides, thinking about voting Jay into the elimination, which we definitely know is a fact from earlier on in the season. And then this is really funny to me because we get some really confident people in confessionals. While Nerys is going off on the house, walking down the hallway, pointing people in the room, just telling people how it is, nobody's really saying anything in that moment until we get to the confessionals. Colleen is saying, Nerys is calling everybody fake and everything. Oh, if everybody's fake, but you're not, maybe you're the problem. Okay, Colleen, how about we say that to Nerys's face? You're speaking up in the confessionals, but you're very silent, just sitting in your room, hoping for everything to just blow over. And then you have Emmanuel in the confessionals saying like, well, if Nerys would just apologize. Apologize to who? Who is she gonna apologize to? Emmanuel is another person who is talking very proudly, very confidently in the confessional. But when you hear him actually speak to Nerys in the hallway, I mean, I had to turn my TV up. I could barely hear this man. You know, you did this and you're speaking very loudly and you know you did this. I mean, you were gonna vote him in. It's just really funny to see people confident in the confessional, yet say absolutely nothing in the house to get this confrontation. I thought at least Berna was going to like take the bait. I mean, she's already safe. She's already in the final. She's spoken up before, but she was also playing Peacemaster, which I guess I got to give it up for Berna for trying to keep everybody in check, but it also just makes everybody look a little bit timid when somebody is calling everybody out, yet the only person willing to raise their voice or try to be heard is Jay and Olivia, who's trying to step in to help out Nerys in this moment. But anyways, we go from this argument to the selection process. No surprise here. Berna picks Corey, Corey picks Colleen, Colleen picks Emmanuel, Emmanuel picks Jay, and Jay picks Mariah. This forces TJ to call out Jay and be like, Jay, what is happening? It was just like the other day, you were upset and crying on the couch that Nerys was going into the elimination, that you couldn't save her, and now you have the opportunity to save her, yet you don't do it. This goes to a little back and forth between Jay and Nerys, but ultimately what comes of it is that James, Olivia, and Nerys will be going into the Conquest elimination, the final Conquest elimination of the season. And then I found this moment pretty funny, that Mariah is helping James pack, yet James tells her not to pack his sandals because he's coming back to the house anyways. So he'll just get his sandals when he comes back to the house after he wins the elimination, which is just, very funny. But now, Nerys, Olivia, and James all don their challenge gear to meet up with TJ in the field for the Conquest elimination, which we should all know by now. It's a mini obstacle course with 3 different puzzle stations. You have to complete all 3 puzzle stations. The first person to solve all 3 puzzles and bring all 3 flags back to their station will win, stay in this game, punch their ticket to the final, while the other 2 players that lost will be eliminated. TJ blows the horn and James goes to puzzle station number 1. Using switches, he had to replicate the sequence you see from looking through a tiny window. And both Nerys and Olivia went to puzzle number 3, which was a slide puzzle that was done in the World Championship final, where you had to slide the puzzle to get the border around the big square piece. This was a fairly difficult slide puzzle. I should say a really difficult slide puzzle, because James was able to get a flag first from the switch station, and after puzzle number 1, he went over to the slide puzzle. Nerys was able to finish up that slide puzzle in 6 minutes, at least that's what Olivia said in the edit. James and Olivia were stuck at that slide puzzle. Nerys went over to the switches, got that done pretty quickly, then went into the ice barrel to fish for numbers to put next to the eliminated contestant and when they were eliminated in the elimination order of the season. Nerys was able to absolutely dominate this elimination, getting 3 flags to James's 1 and Olivia's 0. Nerys now has accounted for 4 people being eliminated from the season in the past 2 weeks. 3 men, 1 woman, 2 of her closest friends and allies and boyfriend, James, who at one point told Nerys to win something, which here she is winning and sending him home, and then Nerys getting her revenge on Olivia for what happened in the selection process last episode in episode 16. And on top of that, Nerys just punched her ticket to the final. Now, the episode does not end there because TJ tells Nerys to go back to the challenge house. She walks up to the house and there's no hip hip hoorays. There's nobody happy to see Nerys back in the challenge house. Nerys comes back into the house, has some few choice words and comments for everybody in the house, and nobody says anything in this moment, but we do get a confessional from Emmanuel saying that Nerys is doing too much in the house. She's talking too much. Yet Nerys just won her second elimination of the season, back-to-back eliminations against 4 other people, and you want to say that her having comments for people in the house is being too much for everybody? How about you do something? How about you go into elimination and win against 2 other people? How about you do that? Of course, Mariah cries about James being eliminated. I'm just shocked how long it took him to be eliminated from the season, so congratulations to him, but we have the final 7. Everybody gets into their nice clothes, they go to the bar, but the way this episode ends is TJ walking into the bar, probably telling everybody that they need to go back to the challenge house, get changed up into their challenge gear, and meet him because the finals start right now. I mean, the episode ends before TJ even walks into the bar, but that's just me projecting or predicting how next episode is going to start. And it's a very good possibility because the preview to the next episode shows the 7 people in their challenge gear in a giant field where TJ is giving some rules of how this final is going to run. It's going to be in 3 phases. There's going to be a control phase, a chaos phase, and a conquest phase. And that's basically all we know about the final just now. This is the final 7 of the season, heading into the final. First, I want to ask, what'd you think about this episode? Let me know down in the comment section below. What'd you think about the daily challenge? What did you think about the idea of the all-women's alliance? Do you think that would have been the right move? What do you think about all the drama and all the comments made, as well as the elimination where Nerys won against James and Olivia? And what do you think about this final 7? Who do you think has the best shot of winning? Who are you rooting for? Who are you rooting against? Let me know anything and everything down in the comment section below. I want to hear what you have to say. Now, I would like to give a special shout out thank you to everyone who supports me over at patreon.com/angelcakevids. Thank you for your support. Thank you for your generosity. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And thank you to everyone who's watching this video up to this point. I'll be back really, really soon with more Challenge 39 content, more challenge content, more content in general. But until then, peace.
That was a really hard, honestly, that challenge was way more scary and difficult than it looks. I broke 3 ribs and popped my implant when I fell.
That's why you hear me in the water moaning. I had the same thing, 2 ribs. I could not sleep, could not walk, could not run. Even if I didn't end up going home, I would not have been able to run the final.